And here's the thing, you see, this Albanese government has just put out a report that admits the government's insane immigration intake, 1 million people in 2 years, hundreds of thousands a year still coming, is making this worse. Doesn't say it as directly as I just did to you, but it's in there. You can see it from a graphic. Now, I know, of course, this argument is obvious. Of course, more people you bring in, the harder it is to find houses for everyone. But the government has never admitted it. So, oh no, it's a supply issue. It's a supply issue, not a demand issue, whatever the hell.
375,000 homes missing. Families sleeping in cars. Nurses living with parents at age 30. Young couples spending 60% of income just to keep a roof over their heads. And Prime Minister Anthony Albanese standing at a podium promising he's fixing it. He's not. He's lying. In July 2024, Albanese launched the National Housing Accord, promised 1.2 million new homes by 2029, told every Australian they'd have affordable housing. 5 years to solve the crisis. But here's what he didn't tell you. By mid-2025, only 170,000 homes were completed. That's 14% of the target. 86% failure rate. Australia needs 240,000 new homes every year to hit Albanese's promise. But in year one, only 174,030 dwellings were built. That's 65,970 homes short in just 12 months. A 27% failure, right out of the gate. While Albanese tours the country announcing housing initiatives, Sydney's median house price hit $1.1 million. Rents surged 57% over 10 years. Social housing collapsed to just 4% of all homes. Over 600,000 Australians need social housing. They're not getting it. And Albanese's 1.2 million home target? Already mathematically impossible. Albanese's 1.2 million home lie. October 2022. Anthony Albanese announced the National Housing Accord, partnered with state governments, set bold goal, 1.2 million new homes by mid-2029, promised to fix Australia's housing crisis, increase construction rates by a third, give every Australian affordable housing. Claire O'Neill, Housing Minister, said there would be 1 million new well-located homes over 5 years from 2024, later upgraded to 1.2 million. Sounds ambitious. Problem is, it was never achievable. National Housing Supply and Affordability Council forecasts only 938,000 new dwellings will be built over Housing Accord period. That means Labor will fall 262,000 dwellings short. Some estimates put the shortfall even higher. Urban Development Institute of Australia's State of the Land Report 2025 says the federal government will fail by 400,000 dwellings. Property Council research predicted shortfall of 462,000 homes. No state or territory projected to meet its share of the target. First-year data proved it. From July 2024 to June 2025, only 174,030 dwellings completed. Target was 240,000. That's a 65,970 home shortfall in year one alone. Construction falling, not rising. 262,000 homes. Australia won't get National Housing Supply and Affordability Council released State of the Housing System 2025 report. Numbers devastating. Council forecasts 938,000 new dwellings built over 5-year accord period, against 1.2 million target. Shortfall of 262,000 dwellings. After accounting for demolitions, net new housing supply projected at 825,000. That's 79,000 dwellings fewer than expected new underlying demand. Chair Susan Lloyd-Hurwitz said systemic reform and ongoing investment urgently needed. The Australian housing system remains far from healthy and is continuing to experience immense pressure. Housing prices and rents increased to record high levels. New housing supply continued to fall short of demand. Labour shortages, high material costs, elevated interest rates reduced project feasibility. March 2025 quarter showed continued decline. Australian Bureau of Statistics reported just 43,517 new homes finished nationwide, 4% drop from previous quarter. Housing starts increased 14% to 47,645, still well below 60,000 homes per quarter needed. Supply chain problems, higher construction costs, strict regulations contributed to slowdown, dwelling approvals falling too. March 2025, data showed 15,220 dwellings approved, 8.8% down from previous month, led by 14.6% plunge in apartment segment. The very type of housing governments say they want more of. Independent housing economist Cameron Cush's graph shows actual approvals diverging more from minimum monthly number needed. Gap widening every month. Record immigration crushes housing. While construction collapsed, immigration surged. Net permanent and long-term arrivals hit record high over first 8 months of 2025. 440,330 permanent and long-term arrivals in 12 months to April 2025. Second highest figure ever recorded, 1.5 million arrivals since 2023, according to Home Affairs data. Population growth rate stands at 1.6% for 2024 to 25, expected to slowly drop to 1.2% by 2034 to 35. But even at lower rates, demand still outpaces supply. AMP Deputy Chief Economist Diana Mausina explained, "The high pace of immigration is not compatible with the level of housing supply that we have in this country. We're just not building enough homes to keep up with our population growth." AMP estimates shortfall of 200,000 to 300,000 homes for existing population, not future population, current population. Dr. Shane Oliver, AMP Chief Economist, "We've got a massive shortfall of housing in Australia relative to the number of people. The economic reality is that when underlying population-driven demand for housing exceeds its supply, prices rise, and that is what we have been seeing for the last 20 years. Albanese government pledged to slow temporary migration, including international students, but already admitted targets for 2024 to 25 unlikely to be met. Not only will Housing Accord targets not be met, aims to curb migration also failing. 3 families destroyed. Emma is 28, works as nurse in Sydney, earns $75,000 annually. Been saving for house deposit for 6 years, has $40,000 saved. Median Sydney house price $1.1 million. She'd need $220,000 for 20% deposit. At current savings rate, she'll reach that in another 15 years. By then, prices will have climbed even higher. She's locked out, living with parents, can't afford rent in Sydney either. Median weekly rent $650 for houses. That's $2,817 per month. Over 50% of her take-home pay. James and Sarah, young couple in Brisbane. Combined income $110,000. Bought first home in 2023 for $650,000. Stretched their budget. 5% deposit through first home guarantee scheme. Mortgage $617,500. Fixed rate expired in 2025. Now on variable rate of 6.8%. Repayments jumped from $2,900 to $4,200 monthly. That's an extra $1,300 per month. $15,600 per year. They're in mortgage stress, spending 55% of household income on loan repayments. Can't afford childcare, can't save. One interest rate rise away from default. Michael, 62, disability pensioner in Perth, renting 1-bedroom unit for $350 weekly. That's $1,517 per month. His disability pension is $1,116 fortnightly, or $2,416 monthly. After rent, he has $899 left for everything else. Food, utilities, transport, medical costs. He applied for social housing 3 years ago. Still on waiting list. Over 600,000 Australians need social housing. Only 4% of all homes are social housing. Michael will likely die waiting. Albanese's Help to Buy trap. September 2025. Albanese announced expansion of Help to Buy scheme. Brought forward from January 2026 to October 2025. Enables first home buyers to purchase with only 5% deposit instead of 20%. Government takes on additional risk, not banks or insurance companies. Albanese. We want to help young people and first home buyers achieve the dream of home ownership sooner. Sounds generous? Reality is nightmare. National Housing Supply and Affordability Council says new mortgages already spending on average 50% of household income on loan repayments. Help to Buy locks buyers into crippling mortgages during housing crisis. Income ceiling for single buyers increased from $90,000 to $100,000. Maximum for couples and single parents raised from $120,000 to $160,000. More than 5 million Australian properties now fall under scheme scope. Government owns up to 40% of property for new constructions, 30% for existing homes. Opposition leader Peter Dutton slammed it. First home buyers will dislike having Anthony Albanese at the kitchen table with you, owning part of your home. Report written for Insurance Council of Australia by Lateral Economics estimated scheme would cause 3.5 to 6.6% price increase by 2026, up to 9.9% rise in lower priced areas. Help to Buy doesn't make housing affordable. It inflates prices higher. The $10 billion fund that built nothing. May 2022. Labor's election campaign centered on Housing Australia Future Fund. $10 billion fund. Central pillar of promises. Goal to fund 30,000 new social and affordable homes over 5 years. Under National Housing Accord, another 10,000 affordable rental homes funded. By mid-2025, HAFF completed only around 5,000 social and affordable homes, fraction of 30,000 target. Not clear how many are newly built versus purchased and renovated. Housing Australia supported 18,650 homes in first 2 rounds of funding, but only 889 completed so far, less than 5% completion rate. Meanwhile, state Labor governments destroying existing public housing, NSW and Victoria selling off public housing estates, replacing with mixed developments, net loss of social housing stock. Unmet need for social and affordable housing exceeds 600,000 units. Albanese's 30,000 target is 5% of actual need. Commonwealth Rent Assistance got one-off 15% boost in May budget, largest increase in 30 years. But maximum payments remain far below market rents. Economist Bruce Bradbury argued increase should have been 100%. Modest measures against massive problem. Rental crisis explodes. Rental market in complete crisis. Number of homes listed for rent nationally collapsed to record low. Vacancy rate hit record low. Cotality reports capital city rental growth accelerated following 43.8% increase over previous 5 years. Rental prices, capital cities risen 57% over past 10 years. Melbourne rents fell 0.4% in second half of 2024, mostly due to 1.1% drop in unit rents, but vacancy rate still 1.7%, below balanced market level of 3%. Domain data shows median weekly house rent risen 26.21% to $650 since last federal election. Median apartment rent up whopping 41.3% to $650. Meanwhile, wage price index increased just 10.62% between March 2022 and December 2024, rents rising 4 times faster than wages. Over past 27 years, wages increased 127.5%. Housing prices rocketed massive 483%. Rental affordability crisis hitting low and middle-income workers hardest. Number of available private rental properties affordable to these workers declining rapidly. Aged care workers, early childhood educators, healthcare staff can't find affordable rentals near work. Essential workers forced out of cities, living further from jobs, commuting hours daily. Why Albanese's plan failed. Factor 1. Labour shortages crippling construction. Not enough skilled tradies. Master Builders Australia said Labour should follow other Western countries with construction-specific visa pathways. Factor 2. High material and financing costs. Construction costs surged during COVID. Interest rate hikes made projects commercially unviable. Single biggest constraint on supply. Factor 3. Complex planning systems. States control zoning. Federal government controls funding. Success depends on cooperation. Inherent tension. Canberra can set targets, but can't force councils to approve projects faster. Factor 4. Tax system favouring investors. Negative gearing and capital gains discount benefit investors over first home buyers. Albanese refuses to reform. Politically toxic. Factor 5. Lack of political will. Albanese talks big, acts small. Housing Minister lacks own department. National Housing Plan delayed. When released, likely to fall short of reforms Australia needs. Where this crisis ends, best case, construction rates gradually improve. Interest rates fall. By 2029, maybe 950,000 homes built instead of 1.2 million. Prices stabilize. Some relief for renters. Worst case, construction continues declining. Immigration stays high. Gap widens. House prices surge another 20 to 30% by 2029. Sydney median hits $1.4 million. Rents up another 40%. Entire generation locked out. Social unrest. Political crisis. Realistic scenario, target missed by 300,000 to 400,000 homes. Maybe 850,000 built by 2029. Prices rising 5 to 8% annually. First home buyers increasingly reliant on bank of mum and dad. Housing becomes defining election issue. Macro business chief economist Leith Van Onselen argues only solution is cut migration. Policymakers cannot expect to solve housing shortage by importing hundreds of thousands of extra demand every single year. But Albanese won't cut migration. Business lobby wants it. Government prioritizes headline GDP over living standards. The failure. Albanese won't admit 375,000 homes short. Albanese promised 1.2 million by 2029. Mid-2025 shows only 170,000 completed. 86% shortfall. National Housing Supply and Affordability Council forecasts 938,000 total completions. Shortfall of 262,000. Other estimates put it at 400,000 to 462,000 homes. Record immigration of 440,330 arrivals crushing supply. Construction falling 12.5% year over year. Rents up 57% over decade. Wages up just 10.6%. Sydney median $1.1 million. Brisbane $876,000. Perth $770,000. Help to Buy trapping first home buyers in unaffordable mortgages. Housing Australia Future Fund built only 5,000 of 30,000 target. Emma can't afford Sydney. James and Sarah in mortgage stress. Michael waiting 3 years for social housing. This is how Albanese's housing accord became Australia's biggest policy failure. When you promise 1.2 million homes and deliver 170,000, that's complete collapse. Albanese faces elections soon. Housing will be defining issue. Will voters forgive 375,000 home shortfall? Hit subscribe to see what happens next.